Welcome to Workforce Solutions Gulf Coast's podcast, where we talk about workforce trends, careers, and opportunity across the Gulf Coast region. Today, I'm joined by Parker Harvey, our regional economist, to talk about economic mobility. Parker, it seems even with a decent job, it feels harder to get ahead financially. When you look at the data, what are we seeing? Can you tell our audience more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. When you look at the numbers, housing, education, and childcare costs have all increased much faster than wages over the last 3 decades, and that obviously has real implications for long-term financial stability. Housing is probably the clearest example of that right now. The median home price in the Houston area is around $337,000, and the estimated salary needed to afford that home is close to $97,000 a year. Median household income, just as context, across the region is lower than that, about $84,000. So for a lot of households, home ownership has become increasingly difficult to reach.
And home ownership still matters a lot when we talk about wealth building?
It does, it absolutely does. For many households, home ownership is still one of the primary ways wealth gets built over time because you're accumulating equity rather than just absorbing a monthly housing cost. And beyond that, where someone lives can affect where they access schools, professional networks, commute times, job opportunities. So housing has broader implications as well.
And so education is an area where people are starting to think differently as well.
Yeah, they are. And I think people are approaching it much more strategically than they used to. The relationship between education and earnings is still very real. It's still very positive. On average, people with higher levels of education and training tend to earn more over the course of their careers. But people are also asking tougher questions about cost, debt, and return on investment, especially with tuition levels where they are today. And one of the more interesting things in the data is that two-year programs, technical schools, certifications, and workforce-aligned training pathways can produce very strong returns relative to cost. Now, in many cases, people are entering high-demand industries with lower debt and solid long-term earning potential.
So there really isn't a one type of pathway that exists for everyone these days, is that right?
Yeah, there really isn't. For some people, a traditional 4-year degree is absolutely the right choice. For others, technical training, apprenticeships, community college, or the skilled trades may make more financial sense, depending on their goals and circumstances. Now, across the Gulf Coast region, there's still strong demand in industries related to healthcare, logistics, manufacturing, construction, IT, things like that.
So how does Workforce Solutions Gulf Coast fit into all of this?
Well, a big part of what Workforce Solutions does is help people better understand where job opportunity exists in the regional economy. Not just where jobs are available today, but which ones are likely to be growing in the future, what they pay, and what kind of training is needed. So whether those careers support long-term financial stability and upward mobility, that's really the big question. And that's really where our labor market information becomes useful in a practical sense. It helps people make more informed decisions about careers, education, and training based on what the data is showing across the region.
So Parker, why do you think people are talking more about economic mobility these days?
Well, I would say right now it's very much in vogue as sort of the big concept right now. But with that said, workforce development by its very nature is economic mobility. That is what it's about at the end of the day. We start off obviously with trying to establish economic stability for households by meeting people's immediate employment needs, but we're ultimately trying to get people to better paying jobs long term that allow for that economic mobility.
Parker, thanks so much for joining us today and helping us break down what the data is showing across our region. From housing to education, workforce trends, and career pathways, these are very important conversations that everyone's thinking about their future, their career, and their long-term financial stability. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.